Sorry?
Yes, the participant is coming right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Please pardon my mask because I'm in a public space right now in the restaurant. So I'm wearing the mask. Charan, how is COVID in Barcelona?
So we are now here in Barcelona, yes, in Spain, and
Yes.
now it's around 1:30.
Okay. How first
Uh,
one? Mhm.
yes, and we have same with the travels of COVID and everything, taking care a lot. We need to go with mask in the street, and I think it's similar in Indonesia
Indonesia.
or world the situation, but
Mhm.
now it's going better. It's going better.
Oh, nice to hear that. Yeah.
Mhm. We are very happy to can stay here with Indonesian people, and very happy to have the opportunity to share with you the book presentation and
Okay. Uh, should we start now, Mas Lutfi, or we still have to wait?
okay,
Okay. Charan, wait a moment. We will hear from Mr.
okay.
Lutfi. Okay, then. I get the cue now. Okay, let's start then. Okay. Good evening, everyone. So my name is Ataferian, and I will be hosting this book talk show and online launching of Stay Positive with Marcus Aurelius this evening. This book is published by Mizan Publishing, and we will have 1 hour session with the authors, Jana Kapi and Charan Diaz, also with our special source person, our psychiatrist, Dr. Andreas Kurniawan. Good evening to you all. Now, before we start, I will have few notes for you. So this book launch is being recorded by Nizan to be available for viewing post conference. And then during the session, if you have any questions for the authors or Dr. Andreas, please use chat feature in this platform. And kindly pardon me wearing mask here for I'm in the restaurant on public space. And then if you have more questions, then any technical issues, please reach our directly our committee in Mizan. So there are co-hosts here. You can see it in the participant list. And please uh, inform the committee via chat function about the technical questions. Okay, let's begin with our authors tonight. Good evening, Charan Diaz.
Good
So this is,
evening.
yes, this is very interesting book you have, and Indonesia already translated it, and I believe that there are so many Indonesian book readers will love to read this book. So I will have one first question for you. Could you tell us more about you and Jenna and how the creative process of making this book?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
I am a psychologist from Barcelona, and I have experience in mental health as a therapist.
Yes.
Also, I have experience in some schools in my past and working as psychologist too, and in big companies as recruiting. So I could work as my main work is related to mental health in psychology here in Barcelona, but I have experience also in these other fields. And I have written with Jana around 6 books, all related to psychology. And this is very special for us because you can visit a wise man like Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher, and Jana and I meet for first time in a personality development course. So she is expert also in some psychology topics. She had studies in NLP, and she is also translator and author of different books with me. So this is our short presentation, and our books always are related to psychology topics.
Yeah, okay. So it was this topic, a special topic, is about how you can manage your mind or something like that. Because for people like me who didn't learn about psychology, it must be quite abstract or something like that. How can you choose this topic? But I'll give that questions later. Now about the writing process. So you and Jana discussed this, that the focus of your book will be about Marcus Aurelius. So among all the philosophers, why Stoicism and why Marcus Aurelius?
So it's the point here is that we really love that Marcus Aurelius was such an important person, that he had richness, powerful person, and at the same time he was humble and he was a wise man who loved philosophy. So it's a very special one, because he's humble, he likes human values and love philosophy in the middle of all this power. And this is not the so it's like a king philosopher, an emperor who is a philosopher, and this is very special. And at the same time, Stoicism it's nice for us because it's very related to psychology. For example, here sometimes they talk about cognitive behavior psychology, and Stoicism is very related to that, because sometimes they say that the important thing is not what is happening to you right now in your life. The most important thing is the way you think about what is happening right now in your life. So it change when you change your mindset, it can change your behavior, and you can appreciate things that before that you could not appreciate. So it's Stoicism is very psychological, and Marcus Aurelius, it's a wise man, and the inspiration for us was similar like this. You can have a very special therapist, a philosopher. You can imagine you are talking with him, and you can imagine he's your psychologist with the ancient wisdom can answer to your modern problems, no?
Yeah, of course. How this? I mean, we all have personal inspiration about someone, but I heard that Marcus also have trouble in his brain. Why he wrote about meditation, the book that has inspired others. So, is there any personal things also happens to you and Jana, like as this personal inspiration for creating this book?
Yes, in the personal point of view, for example, a lot of years before in my life, having some looking for some interesting books for some travels, I find meditations of Marcus Aurelius. And I really feel that it helped me to acceptance of certain points of your life. So it helps you always in acceptation your reality, and it really helps. So at the same time, I try to give as a present meditations of Marcus Aurelius to some patients, psychology patients, and some friends. But some people told me that it's difficult to understand meditations of Marcus Aurelius because there are not too much modern language translations. And it was part of our inspiration that we can do a modern language translation of Marcus Aurelius, but in the way that you are speaking with him. You can feel that you can visit the wise man in the place you are, and you can get some inspiration from him, no?
Yes. I was wondering whether the situation of COVID-19 also affect you and Jana while you decide to write this book, because we're talking about how to stay positive, how to maintain our good outlook to the people around us and the situation. Well, in your perspective, Charan, why is it difficult to maintain a positive outlook in life?
Yes, I think it's difficult because in the first time, a positive outlook in life, sometimes it's more related to our accepting of our reality. So we need acceptance first. So sometimes we talk about positive, but in real, we need to talk about acceptance, our reality. And when we accept our reality with ups and downs, with good and bad things, it's more easy to appreciate all the good that is around us, no? And
Yeah.
when you appreciate that, it's more easy to be positive. So I think first, sometimes it's necessary to accept our reality, and the problem we are suffering a lot sometimes is because we don't accept something in the situation we are living or we are passing through. So sometimes we can feel we are suffering, and we can ask ourselves, what is the point? What is the thing I don't accept in that situation? And I need to work with that for being more appreciative and accept better my life and being more positive. And Marcus Aurelius helps very much with that. And he helps in the way you make strong your mind first, in the way you see your reality. And he has a lot of quotes related to that. For example, he talked about the eye. If you have an eye that and you can and you only want to see green things in your life, so this is not a healthy eye, no? We have our eyes and we see all the colors in our life, not only the green colors. So in the same way, he says that a healthy mind is prepared for stay face to face with the reality and with the ups and downs, with the good and the bad, and he's helping you to accept all that around you, and you get more flexibility mindset, no?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Jana. I would like to ask questions to our psychiatrist, Dr. Andreas first. Do you mind if I'm asking him in bahasa Indonesia?
No, perfect.
Okay. Thank you. Because all of the, not all, maybe some of the participants is using it. So I hope it's helpful for them. Okay, thank you, Jana, for your consideration. So, Dr. Andreas, tadi kita dengar. Ya, hai dokter, apa kabar?
Baik.
Saya lupa menyapa, langsung nanya aja ya dokter ya. Sorry. Ya, dokter, tadi kita dengar dari Charan bahwa kita dalam kondisi COVID dan lain sebagainya akan lebih sulit untuk bisa stay positif. Menurut dokter sendiri, apakah emang ini timingnya pas gitu dok untuk buku ini muncul dan menginspirasi banyak orang?
Oke, saya mungkin jawab dalam bahasa Indonesia and then I will translate it to English because I want to also communicate with Charan. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Okay. But first of all, I want to say that me gusta mucho este libro porque es muy bueno. I really like this book because it's really good, it's really beautiful. Buat teman-teman, mungkin ini kita baru rilis ya, we just released this book and I think it's really worth to have this book. Ya tadi pertanyaan adalah tentang apakah ini pas momennya. Justru saya rasa nggak ada momen yang lebih pas daripada saat ini gitu. There is no other perfect moment to release this book in Indonesia other than this moment. Karena salah satu stoicism itu kan ya yang terkenal ya. Kita sudah tahu udah sering mendengar tentang namanya dikotomi kendali gitu. Ada hal yang bisa kita kendalikan, ada hal yang bisa kita kendalikan. There are things that you can control and things that you cannot control. Dan ketika kita berada dalam situasi pandemi seperti ini, kita benar-benar diminta untuk memilih gitu. Apa yang bisa kita kendalikan dan apa yang nggak bisa kita kendalikan. So, in this time of the pandemic, it's really important for us to decide to realize, to be aware of things that we can control and things that we cannot control. Karena yang terjadi kan waktu awal-awal pandemi, kita merasa kayak seluruh dunia tuh kayak wah bingung gitu, carut marut ya, yang tiba-tiba dari kerja nggak bisa kerja, yang tiba-tiba gampang kemana jadi nggak bisa kemana-mana, dan akhirnya kita perlahan-lahan setelah 2 tahun ya, kayak 2 years sebenarnya. So at the first of the pandemic, we're really devastated by the effect of the pandemic. Usually we can go to work, we can go to school, we can go everywhere without having to wear mask or anything. But at this time, it's all really like controlled. Nah, pada saat seperti itu, kita benar-benar diminta untuk focus on the things that we can control. And this is the things that I often say to my patients. Ini hal yang sering saya bilang ke pasien-pasien saya, yaitu kita nggak bisa mengendalikan virus, kita nggak bisa mengendalikan pandemi. We cannot control the virus, we cannot control the pandemic. Bahkan kita nggak bisa mengendalikan apakah ini virus nempel ke kita atau enggak. Even we cannot control whether we are having the virus or not when people are talking to us. Tapi ada hal yang bisa kita kendalikan. Oke, menggunakan masker misalnya. Ya, wearing mask, washing your hands, cuci tangan, itu hal-hal yang masih bisa kita kendalikan. Jadi karena energi kita terbatas, because our energy is very limited, it's important for us to focus on the things that we can control. Karena energi kita terbatas, cobalah fokus kali yang bisa kita kendalikan. Nah, buku ini banyak banget ngebahas tentang hal tersebut. Focus on the things that we can control. Cobalah untuk, ya ujung-ujungnya kan in the end pasti diminta untuk accepting, untuk menerima. Gitu. Yeah. But the term acceptance tends to be confusing for some people. Menerima itu suka membingungkan kan bagi orang. Ada yang ngerasa kayak menerima berarti kita nggak ngapa-ngapain. People think that accepting some things means we're not doing anything about it. Well, the fact is not. Buku ini banyak menuliskan, yang saya suka itu tentang penerimaan, tentang menerima bahwa kita agak dark sih ya gitu. The book writes about how we will die. Everything is mortal, everything is temporary. Tapi itu ditulis dengan sangat indah. It's written really beautifully. Dan kita diminta untuk, ya karena kita tahu semua itu sifatnya sementara, ya coba untuk fokus ke diri kita sendiri. Just like Charan said previously, it's about how you experience things, how you experience your life. And that's why I think this book is really beautiful ya.
Iya. Pas banget ya dok. Ya. Jadi menerima tapi nggak pasrah gitu ya dok.
Ya.
Maybe I was talking to Dr. Andreas Charan that accepting your situation, accepting your reality is not the same with doing nothing about your troubles or whatever you have to face. So, what do you think is, Charan, what do you think? Dr. Andreas said that this is the right moment for people, especially for people who cannot understand why all things around them are changed right now, and they have to face it, but sometimes bad thoughts always conquer all the energy to rebuild the life or anything like that. Could you tell us your opinion about that?
Yes, I think so. We have our energy sometimes comes from our thoughts, and when you can see other thoughts like Marcus Aurelius thinking, you get new energy to face your problems. For example, as told Dr. Andreas, it's very important the part you can control in your reality. And so it's and there is a quote here in Spain that says that the mouse, the little mouse, say, what will happen to me? But the big lion says, what I will do in my situation. So the important part of controlling what we can in the circumstances we are, it's always very important, no? And Marcus Aurelius, I think he helps in that, and you can get that help, because if Marcus Aurelius, as a big emperor, he was in the middle of a lot of problems, no? problems with his wife. He had problems with his empire. He had problems fighting in the north. So he has a lot of problems with the politicians of that era. So he was in the middle of such a big problems, and he had pandemics in that era too, and he had to fight with some pandemics. So at the same time, he has that philosophy where he rests. He has that way of thinking that helps him in every situation he has to face. So similarly, we can get inspiration from him, because when we can talk with a wise man, if Marcus Aurelius was right here and right now with you, for example, in your job, similar house, if Marcus Aurelius was right here and now with you, walking in the street, and you can talk with him, you get influenced by his way of thinking, and you can see life better in the middle of the pandemic and everything, no, in the middle of some problems, for example, no, love problems, or some people when they have problems, they have irrational way of thinking. For example, they can feel I am not good for nothing, or they can feel nobody will love me again in my future, or this is horrible and I can do nothing. But this is not the way of thinking of Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius focus on what you can do. Marcus Aurelius knows that and remember you that life has ups and downs, and he helps you accept your destiny, and he helps you to face reality in a different way that can help you to change your behavior to live a little better, no?
Yes. Okay. So this is interesting, Charan, because I read from this book in chapter 65 that there are some questions about giving up, about put your white flag when you face something. And then Marcus Aurelius said that if you face something impossible to conquer, so we have to practice. The practice of having good thought and being optimist is not something understandable for people who didn't know how to do that.
Yes.
Before you answer, allow me to ask Dr. Andreas first, because he is the psychiatrist. Dokter, dengan kata-kata yang diucapkan tadi sama Charan bahwa optimis itu sesuatu yang harus dimasukkan ke dalam kepala seperti Marcus Aurelius melakukannya. Sesulit apa itu dilakukan oleh orang awam, Dok?
Oke. Ada beberapa hal yang mungkin ini ya bisa disalahartikan mengenai tadi kan optimism itu. Yeah. Itu mungkin kayak misalnya yang jelas gini, yang saya pahami Marcus Aurelius itu bukan dia tipe-tipe motivator yang kalau kamu usaha percaya kamu pasti bisa. So correct me if I'm wrong, Charan, but I believe that Marcus Aurelius is not a kind of motivator who says that if you can do it, if you believe you can do it, you can do it. Because he's a realistic person. He's not a toxically optimistic person. He's really realistic. Jadi sini ada beberapa poin kayak misalkan ya kapan kita perlu untuk menyerah. Ada juga saya juga baru baca nih poin yang mau saya bahas malah chapter 52. So in chapter 52 about doing the impossible, mungkin ini juga yang mau saya sampaikan tentang there are 79 questions in this book, and perhaps you will not agree or relate to all of them. For example, ya dari 79 pertanyaan ini mungkin nggak semuanya akan bisa kita setuju atau kita bisa langsung relate, dan itu nggak apa-apa, and that is okay. Kayak misalnya di chapter 52 itu ada disebutkan sebaiknya kamu berpikir kalau orang lain bisa melakukan dan memahami ini, aku juga bisa. So it's written here that it's better for you to think if other people can do and understand this, then I can do it too. gitu.
Yeah.
So, ini bisa jadi suatu toxic positivity, can be toxic positivity karena kita merasa bahwa saya harus bisa seperti orang lain bisa, ya. Padahal yang ingin sampaikan adalah kalau itu bisa dilakukan orang lain, artinya itu masuk akal untuk dilakukan. Itu humanly possible untuk dilakukan. So, I was thinking at that phrase, if anyone else can do it and understand it, then it means I can do it too. That doesn't mean that you should do it. That just means it's possible to do. It's possible to be achieved. Jadi kita memaknai itu sebagai sebuah it's a possibility, we can do it. Bukan berarti we should do it. Gitu.
Okay.
Ya. Jadi yang susah memang memahami memang ini karena Marcus Aurelius itu bahasanya luar biasa kan, dia ya abstrak, makanya tadi Marcus Aurelius perhaps it's need to be interpreted. And this book is the way how we interpret his words into our daily lives.
Oke. Dok, tadi saya sempat mengutip kata-katanya Marcus yang di buku ini ya. Katanya kita harus sabar melatihkan positivisme itu. Apakah itu sama artinya juga ketika tadi dokter bilang tentang toxic positivity?
Oke.
Jangan-jangan kalau we overdoing it, we become toxic positivity. What do you think, Dok?
Oke. Mungkin gini ya. Sama seperti orang yang misalnya mengatakan bahwa aku nggak bisa menari. Maka kita bisa bilang ya bisa dilatihkan untuk menari. Tapi bukan berarti setiap saat dia harus menari. Bukan berarti setiap saat dia harus joget-joget kita ketemu orang-orang. So I was thinking about this, Charan. Well, it's written that you can practice positivity. So for example, if people think that I haven't been positive all my life, aku nggak pernah positif seumur hidupku, that means you can practice it. Just like when people say that I cannot dance, that means that you can practice dance, but that doesn't mean you have to dance all the time. Ya, jadi yes. So a main problem or our thinking is we believe that we have to be happy all the time. Kesalahan berpikir kita adalah kita berpikir bahwa kita tuh harus bahagia setiap saat, bahwa kita harus positif setiap saat, and that is a problem because it's impossible to achieve that state.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's the same way that Dr. Andreas, that we believe we need to be happy all the time. That's impossible, and in such a way that I see that Marcus Aurelius, and for that reason I especially like, he is not that kind of person. It's very realistic as he's told, and in that way, I think that kind of men are the positive mental attitude. The real positive mental attitude sometimes is more related to accept our reality, no? And you can see what are your strengths, and you can work on it, no? And you can see what is reality and the good and the bad things in your life, and you can work with that. But if you only want to see a part of reality, it's more difficult, no? And I think the same way. So you need to understand that it's impossible to be happy all the time. But when you have a calm mind, when you have more inner peace, it's more easy to be happy. So sometimes it's not that you go directly to happiness, but sometimes being more in peace, getting more calm, controlling little details on your life, you get more happy, and life is more easy. Marcus Aurelius, for me, it's inspiring in that point.
Okay, so Charan, do you think with the words practicing our mind to keep on doing positive thoughts or having positive thoughts, is that the way how to face the reality easily? Because in the same time, Marcus also think about how to be calm. It's okay not to be okay. Is that the statement that you agree about?
Yes, I am agree that it's okay not to be okay, because sometimes it's the only way to be really okay. So it's yes. So it's necessary, no? Because if not, we are not being honest with ourselves. And for being okay, it's very important to being honest with yourself. And Marcus Aurelius, I think it's a very honest person who inspires you to be honest and to live your life in the same way, no? Of human values that will help you in the mental health and that will help you to have a real positive mental attitude in that way, no? Not in the way that I am a Superman and I am always strong or always happy, but more in the way that I can accept reality, that I can search inside myself to rest in peace, not in always in the beach or not always in the mountain, but I can search inside myself. So it's that kind of person that inspires me just for that reason, no? But because for him it's the same. It's not necessary that you need to be okay always, or life will be easy always, or you will have what you wish always, no?
Yes. So are you saying that Marcus Aurelius is not Superman, but he's still inspiring? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So talking about Superman and its power, let's talk about insecurity. Charan, do you mind? So in this book, you present questions on life, right, and answer from Marcus Aurelius, such as how to not feel inadequate, so how to deal with expectation from others, and so on. How did you choose this question in this book?
So we choose that questions related to irrational thoughts we have when we are in trouble or when we have problems in life. We have more drama in our mind, and Marcus Aurelius helps me to see reality without that high level of drama. So for example, irrational thoughts, as we talked before, no? Someone broke his relationship with someone else and thinks, I will find never a new love in my life, or nobody will love me again. Or for example, you get fired in your job and you think, I will never get a good job again in my life, in my future, no? That kind of thinking, it's very dramatic, and Marcus Aurelius helps you to accept that life is not so much dramatic, but at the same time, you can live well in life with ups and downs. So we thought that kind of modern problems to choose the questions related to that irrational way of thinking, because Marcus Aurelius helps you with the answer, giving a more rational and inspiring answer, no, to the modern problems we have.
Yes. So not being a drama queen or a drama king is why you have to choose this book and read it, right? Okay. Dr. Andreas, ini kan katanya menurut salah satu penelitian nih, peneliti yang dikutip sama Mizan, Gen Z, generasi Z, yang berusia 12 sampai 26 tahun, ini katanya lebih rentan terkena gangguan mental health, gangguan mental, jadi kayak insecurity, jadi terlalu banyak drama, overthinking. Bagaimana menurut dokter, dari kacamata dokternya?
Alright, so the question is about, is it true that the current generation is prone or
to mental health?
Mental health issues. Are they prone to mental health issues? Ini agak susah dijawab karena saya baru jadi psikiater selama berapa tahun ya. Jadi so Charan, I said that it's difficult to answer this because I've just been a psychiatrist for a few years, so aku nggak pernah membandingkan antara jenis sekarang dengan yang sebelumnya. Tapi dari yang pemahaman saya adalah gangguan mental itu sudah ada dari dulu, dari sejak zaman kapan juga sudah ada. Bedanya adalah mungkin sekarang kesadaran kita akan hal tersebut tuh sudah lebih tinggi. Bisa jadi dulu angkanya bukan rendah, melainkan tidak terdeteksi. Gitu. So I think that mental health problem has been there in our life since years, or perhaps since 100 years ago. The difference is now there are more opportunities for us to do check up. Our awareness about mental health is increasing. So that's why it gives the as if the number is increasing. Mungkin itu yang menyebabkan kenapa angkanya seolah-olah tinggi. Dan juga kan sosial media sekarang membuat alur informasi itu cepat. Dulu kita nggak tahu tentang yang namanya misalnya PTSD itu apa. Tapi dengan ada sosial media, orang-orang tahu dan jadi relate, oh mungkin saya mengalami PTSD kayak gitu. Jadi bisa jadi angkanya memang meningkat atau bisa jadi awareness kita yang meningkat kayak gitu.
Okay. This is interesting questions. It just pop up in my mind to Charan. Do you think Dr. Andreas just said that because of our situation now with the gadget and internet is everywhere, so information is overload everywhere, people tend to more aware about mental health issues. We're talking about how Marcus Aurelius and his meditation books can inspire you to create this book, right? Do you think Marcus in that era also inspired others without having to share his thoughts or his positivity? Could you answer that? Sure.
So the question is related to sharing in that era. Marcus Aurelius helped with our mental health.
Yes, how his positivity affect others when he's still in brain.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that mental health, it's as Dr. Andreas thought, we have more aware now, and it's I am happy of that because the last 20 or 30 years, it depending on the country you are living, you see psychotherapy different way.
Yes.
For example, in Argentina, it was more common to have a therapist, but in Brazil, you go to therapist and some people say are you okay? Can I help you? And in Spain, you go to therapist and they say I'm sorry for you. No, so now it's we are more modern awareness about mental health with sports and with the last news around the world. And this is very important, and Marcus Aurelius in that way can help us because the same problems we have now, the same mental problems in the essence, they were similar around 2,000 years before. I mean the problems that causes us anxiety or overthinking or the dislike of others, the expectation of others. We were worried 2,000 years before with our anxiety of status, and today in the modern world is the same. So there are the same problems, but in a different context related to anxiety, stress, and in different cultures. So Marcus Aurelius has that universal and everlasting wise wisdom that helps us in different cultures and moments of history. And I think he is inspiring people around the world right now in a beautiful way, because he was doing that meditations, some people say, for himself at the beginning, no? And now he's inspiring people around the world with his legacy and influencing our mental health for being more positive, to have more flexibility, understand better reality. And I think he helps now, and he could be your therapist in that book, no? He could be, you can imagine, you can get a new experience. Imagine he's your psychologist, no? Your coach.
Your coach in the book.
Yes.
Thank you, Charan. I will read one question from the audience, from the participant. This is from Edelweiss Julia. Good evening, Edelweiss Julia. Very beautiful name. The question is, how to stop overthinking about how every little detail that we do has possibility to make people hurt or comfortable. Then that guilty happy feeling over little things that happens a lot. He asked that. Could Charan take the first answer for that? Give her the first answer before I ask Dr. Andreas.
Okay. I think that question, if I understand well, is related to sometimes we have overthinking and feeling guilty about little things that happens a lot. When something happens a lot in my life, probably it's something that I repeat again and again. And this is such a pattern that I need first to aware of that. No, I have a pattern that is repeating again and again in my life, and I need to understand what is happening. I can change, or if I can change something, and it will change the result of that pattern. But at the same time, overthinking, it's such a big problem that they have a lot of different ways of work with that in therapy. Sometimes it's so easy as if you imagine your attention as a lantern, and you can focus with your attention one part of this room. If I focus my hand, I only see my hand. If I focus a book, I only see the book. So we can train our mental attention, because the way we pay attention to our reality, it changes our experience of reality. So we can learn, we can train our attention to see other details, other different details, or other things that are around us. Sometimes when a person don't know what to do, and there is some concepts in psychology for that they say that the mind begins to search travels, no? So you need to have something to do, something. You can change the bad obsession for a good obsession, no? For example, and you need to find what are the positive obsessions in your life. So sometimes it's related to distract your attention. Sometimes it's related to do a mental exercise. There are many different ways to help with that. Maybe Dr. Andreas can inspire now in his point of view, but in the case of therapy, in my case, there are some exercises that work for one person and other exercises work for another, because every person is a world, a whole world, and you need to understand his world first, no?
Thank you, Charan. Dr. Andreas, could you share your answer about the question from Aurelius?
Okay. Well, I guess Charan already made it clear, and I'll just add a little bit of things. Overthinking comes from uncertainty. Ya, overthinking itu berakar dari ketidakpastian. Jadi ketika kita lihat sesuatu itu secara tidak pasti, itu yang akan membuat otak kita berpikir segala macam kayak tadi. So when we're dealing with uncertainties, then our brain will think about any kinds of possible and perhaps the impossible, and that's what makes us overthink and make us feel anxious. Jadi yang saya sarankan adalah ketika kamu lagi menyadari kamu overthinking, cobalah untuk duduk sebentar dan sadari, ini ketidakpastian macam apa yang sedang kuhadapi. Dan dari yang tidak pasti itu, coba untuk fokus ke hal-hal yang sudah pasti, yaitu hal yang bisa kamu lakukan. So I was saying, when you are realize that you are doing the overthinking, the thing that you can do is just to sit down and try to understand what uncertainties are you dealing with. What are the uncertainties? And then you try to make sense among all of these uncertainties, which are the certain parts, mana bagian yang pastinya, and then take control of it, because that's the thing that you can control, hal-hal yang lebih pasti itu. And at the same time, well, accept or just letting go of things that you cannot control.
Ya, control the thought, ya, Dr. Andreas, terima kasih jawabannya. Saya akan kembali ke Charan. So, Charan, it's about the book again. So, you arrange the book with Jana and add some short writing based on the psychological perspective, right? So, is it the method you made with Jana? Is it because the philosophy of Marcus Aurelius is hard to understand for the readers in this era, or you choose this method to make it easier to understand this life?
Yes, yeah. I think that is because we think that maybe in the era of Marcus Aurelius, maybe there were no psychologists, and they help. So the people that helped you probably were masters of philosophy, masters, or other kind of spiritual masters or religion, no? and now we have psychologists, and we want to connect that Marcus Aurelius' philosophy is really connected to psychology. So we want to make a space in the mind of the reader for think a little more in an inspiring way, where they can see that Marcus Aurelius, it can work, like he can work as your psychologist, as your therapist, no, and give you the experience that he's alive, talking with you, but about psychology things, no, about your mind, because he's a master of the mind, no. So today we have the psychological point of view, and we think that it's important to make sure that it's very connected to Marcus Aurelius, no?
Yes. So, what is so difficult to understand from Marcus' values?
Yes, I think because it's the difficulty of Marcus Aurelius in the case of people I know, it's because he has not a modern language sometimes in the translations, and I think it's difficult because people cannot imagine that he's here with you, talking with you, and you can imagine that he's your friend and he's your model, and you can imagine what will do Marcus Aurelius in my case, in my situation right now. If Marcus Aurelius was here and now, what he will do, no, in my case, how is the way he will think about my problem. So I think the difficulty, it's only about our imagination, that he is alive and he can answer your modern problems, and it's a wise. So always a wise man, it's not so easy, no. It's he talks about spirituality, about about God. He talks about a lot of things, no, and he's very wise. So it's not. You need to take your time, but now we think we can help with the modern language and with that work, no, about imagine that he's talking with you, he's your friend, no.
Okay, so actually this is related to one of the questions from our audience. Itself, Andreas wrote the questions like this. To Charan, as we know, having understanding about philosophers and their wisdom that lived many eras before us is not that easy. So let's say so many university students have their own favorite philosophers, and Marcus Aurelius is not as famous as the others. So the question is, what do you think is the most difficult thing? You just answered that. To understand from Marcus' value, and could the difficult thing be implemented in easy way nowadays? Do you get the question? Yeah.
I don't get very well the question. Is here in the chat?
Yes, in the chat. Selfie Andreas wrote. He wants you to answer this. What do you think is the most difficult thing to understand from Marcus' value? And you just answer that the same question as mine. And then the other question is, could the difficult thing, those you just shared, being implemented in an easy way nowadays?
Yes, I think it's not difficult being implemented in nowadays, but the problem is that I think with time Marcus Aurelius will get more famous because now Stoicism is very popular every time more in our times, and so Marcus Aurelius has a special value for me because as we talk, he could live in a palace if he wanted, because he was an emperor. He has a lot of richness, a lot of power, and in the middle of that power, he don't lose his soul, no, in another more poetic way of talking, no. So some people will have a lot of power, a lot of richness, a lot of many things, here we have an expression in Spain that they use that say, what will you gain if you gain the whole world but you lose your soul? But Marcus Aurelius has all the power, all the richness, but he still is connected with his essence, and he still loves philosophy, he still loves wisdom, and he still is humble and with human values, no? So I think it doesn't matter if you have nothing, if you are very poor, it doesn't matter if you are very rich with the Stoicism, because another Stoicism master before Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, he was a slave. So he was not rich, it's the opposite, he was a slave. And they say that Marcus Aurelius was make that connection that Epictetus, it was a master who is a slave, and he will be for posterity more popular, he will be more recognized for his wisdom, a slave who is recognized for his wisdom. But there are other emperors like Neron, who was really crazy. And so this is beautiful that Marcus Aurelius, it's like a king philosopher, because in the Platon Republic, they talk about king philosophers, because he is such a powerful people, but he still loves to connect with his essence, no? He still loves having that awareness, no? About wisdom.
Okay, thank you, Charan. Dr. Andreas, ini kan sebetulnya jadi menarik karena mungkin anak-anak muda, terutama mereka yang tidak belajar filsafat, baca buku ini. Menurut Dr. Andreas sendiri, apakah metode yang digunakan oleh Jana dan Charan di buku ini membantu banyak untuk umum ya, pada umumnya awam yang tidak belajar filsafat untuk stay positif hanya dari buku ini? Boleh Dr. Andreas beropini tentang itu?
Saya rasa ini adalah buku yang sangat ringan buat dibaca. Yang paling saya suka adalah dia ngebuatnya itu masing-masing chapter tuh singkat, 2 halaman, just 2 pages for each chapter. Dan bagiannya tuh selalu sama. Pertama ada pertanyaan, the first part is about the question about daily lives or activities. And then the second, yang kedua itu adalah gimana tanggapan dari Marcus Aurelius. Jadi berdasarkan dari karya-karyanya dia. Nah, yang membedakan di sini adalah ada refleksi psikologis. The third part ini adalah tentang gimana dari orang yang lebih ahli ya. Di sini kita anggap penulisnya itu lebih ahli memahami. Gimana dia menerjemahkan itu. Jadi kayak menjembatani. Jadi di sini ada suatu sumber informasi dan ada yang mengolah itu jadi lebih gampang untuk dipahami. Masalahnya pun masalah-masalah yang really simple, yang benar-benar hal yang biasa kita buka random ya. Ini bisa benar-benar menyenangkan orang lain, disebut people pleaser. Ya, one of my favorite part in this book. Tentang ada yang kayak gini kan, gimana bahwa aku tuh pengen banget untuk nolong orang lain, pengen banget berkorban buat orang lain, tapi itu membuat dia malah gak nyaman. Nah, jadi aku merasa bahwa buku ini nih sangat enak buat dibaca. Dan kalau boleh aku mau saran gitu, Charan, I want to suggest about how to read this book. Well, because it's filled with beautiful words. Penuh dengan kata-kata indah. Jadi sebenarnya saya menyarankan sesuatu yang mungkin nggak semua pembaca buku, penikmat buku akan setuju gitu. Saya aliran yang suka untuk nyoret-nyoret buku. Saya aliran yang suka meng-highlight. So I'm a kind of person who likes to put highlight on things that relates to us. Jadi akan bagus banget kalau misalnya teman-teman yang membaca buku ini untuk siapin highlighter dan coba deh untuk garis gitu poin-poin yang penting. Ya, so I was suggesting that perhaps if you want, you can just bring some highlighter with you and then you highlight on the words or sentences that really resonates with you. Tentu akan ada aliran-aliran yang kayak a book is sacred, do not draw anything on it at all gitu. But I believe that a book that is useful to you is a book that gives meaning, not just a book that is sit there on your cupboard and doing nothing at all. Saya percaya bahwa buku yang bermanfaat adalah buku yang memberikan makna buat kita, termasuk walaupun kita tadi meng-highlight atau mencoret-coret buku tersebut. Bukan cuma buku yang kita pajang. Gitu. Kalau saya beli dua ya, satu buat dipajang, satu buat dicoret, dah gitu aja.
Okay. Do you agree with that, Charan, that the book is so easy to relate with your daily problems and you could even just highlight it or put some notes on the book.
Yes.
Yes.
Like it, to put some notes or your favorite quote at the last. You get the number, and so I think this book it's possible for you. You can read in different ways. You can read open in random when you have when you need simple inspiration. You open in random and what you see the inspiration, or you can use another different way when you are thinking in a problem like dislike others or like accepting something of reality. You can go to the summary, and in the summary you can see the main quote about what it's talking about. So you can choose by your problem or your specific inspiration, and at the time you can read as a normal book, no, from the beginning until the end. But for me and Jana, we like both of us. We like that our book can read random too. That you can open in random and get inspiration if you don't have time, no, and you can add what you want, no, and notes.
Yeah, sure. So it's easy just to buy the book and you can do anything with the book. It's okay. Marcus said it's okay. Okay. So it's already 8:26, so already almost 1 hour we have this session. We have the last 4 minutes. So I would like to choose one questions from the audience before we wrap up. So this is from Yulita Rangkuti, Uli, hello. And Uli said that from what I've read, Marcus Aurelius was on medication for pain, which the pain also made it difficult for him to sleep. It said that he was given drugs by his doctor containing opioids. Does this have an impact on Marcus' way of thinking and dealing with problems of life? Would you like to answer that, Charan?
Yeah, no, I have read a lot of information related to Marcus Aurelius, and I don't know. So I think it's really impossible to know with exactly if he get some opioids or not, or because he had some chronic pain or not. But what we can be sure is that he was a humble person with values, and he get more influenced. The way of thinking and dealing with problems of life, I think he was not so impacted by drugs, but he was more impacted by his teachers. He had very good teachers. His mother influences him. His mother showed him some masters of Stoicism that were disciples of Seneca, and some different masters about Stoicism. He had show him Stoicism way of thinking and way of living and practices. Some of them show him Epictetus' way of thinking, and so I think in your life, your way of thinking and your way of dealing with your problems are more influenced by your masters and your behaviors that for in this case of Marcus Aurelius, for drugs, no? No, because he's when you read him, you can see so similar things with other big philosophers in history, mystics, because he talked about everything: spirituality, God, and acceptance of destiny, as other big philosophers, no, in history, as other big spiritual people in our history. So there is a similar way of thinking, but he's a powerful people with a rich and power empire. So it's very special in his case. So I think it's more his masters, his
not about the drugs. Yeah.
The influence. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Charan. So this is the last question for Dr. Andreas. Kesan dokter setelah membaca buku ini apa, Dok?
Kesentil. So the question is, how do I feel after reading this book? I feel that apa kesentil bahasa Inggrisnya? I feel like I'm being like this, gitu. So
Yeah.
Just
being
like
slapped on the face.
yeah, slap on the face. That's the perfect term.
Okay. Thank
Because
you, Dr. Andreas.
because as a psychiatrist, I believe that I know how to deal with life. Sebagai psikiater, saya pikir saya tahu gimana menghadapi hidup, gimana mendengarkan sendiri. Tapi ketika baca when I was reading this book, there are still some concepts that are give me a slap on the face, and then but that's a good kind of slap gitu, kayak tabokan yang bagus gitu, merasa kayak I understand what. Termasuk menyadari bahwa kita masih perlu belajar banyak. We still have a lot to learn.
Thank you. Terima kasih Dr. Andreas. So Charan, just 30 seconds answer for my last question. What's your expectation for readers on this book?
Okay, our expectation, Jana and me, for readers are that they get influenced by Marcus Aurelius in a positive way. Our expectation is that Marcus Aurelius, a big important wise and stoic, can influence your life and or inspire your life in 1, 2, or 3 or a lot of different ideas and ways. So in the way you can imagine that he is your therapist and you can get a new experience, the experience that you have in your pocket or, I don't know, in your bag, wise, and you can visit him when you need and get, so thinking wise makes your life more easy to take different choices. You get better choices when you have a wise thinker beside you, no? So inspiration and enjoy the book. That is our expectation.
Thank you, Charan Diaz, and please say our regards to Jana, and then thank you for the two of you for this awesome book and how you put your energy and good vibes, the two of you in this book. And thank you, Dr. Andreas, for your share tonight. It's very precious. Thank you for all of you, for all of you, your participation, semua yang sudah datang, terima kasih banyak. And if you have additional questions, kindly send them via chat feature, because Caesar Marcus Aurelius said that tranquility is nothing else than the good ordering of the mind, right, Charan? Yes. So to end this book launch, let's order our mind to buy this good book, Stay Positive with Marcus Aurelius, as much as you can. Then share it to your beloveds. Okay, thank you, Mizan, for publishing this book. I'm Atta Ferin, and from Pongo, Central Java, this small village. Good night, all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all. Charan, muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Dr. Andreas, and Atta. Thank you very much to everybody.